Hello everyone, welcome back to Hibernia, part 2. This is my WebGL game, little RPG thing, and since my last video I've added quite a bit, mostly graphical stuff, and stuff to do with the map. So firstly, I added, well, you can see I've got paths here, and this is basically texture splatting. Like it uses like something like the height map, but more of a type map, and it's actually the same resolution as the original height map data, not the height map itself. So that's why it's a bit blocky. Like you can see these obvious jarring cuts. That's just because it's a really low resolution blend map. Yeah. So it allows me to add in the roads. It also allows me to add in beaches, as you can see. Lots of lovely beaches. Oh yeah, and footsteps. I forgot about that. Yeah, just to make it feel a little bit more earthy, I added in footsteps for when you're walking around. I added lighting to the trees, but as you can see it doesn't look very good because they're cross sections. The lighting doesn't quite work as nicely as it might, so I need to work on the trees. There's actually normal mapping on the terrain textures as well, so I managed to work out how to do texture arrays in WebGL, which are basically 3D textures in that they're like multiple textures layered. So you can pass it one image that has like different things on it, like the diffuse texture, the normal map. You can also have other things in there like bump map, all that stuff. And yeah, that allows me to have normal mapping on terrain textures. Oh yeah, I also got in swamps now. Here's a better example over here of how they're supposed to work. So they're generally flat areas, and the generation is meant to make them have puddles and stuff, but it doesn't quite work yet. Also, shading on the buildings, which I actually revealed something about my engine, is that I was completely doing cubes wrong. You wouldn't think it would be difficult to get cubes wrong, but yeah, all the normals were a bit messed up because I was flipping the faces and not actually flipping the normals. So yeah, they were. It also messed up the skybox, but that was fine. It's got no lighting on it. What else did I add? Oh yeah, as you can see, I got a mini map in the bottom right. That's quite neat. I made it so it zooms out as well. So when you're walking around, it's got a zoomed in view. Hasn't got everything on it yet, like it just got basic terrain. It's just derived from the height data, and so it can detect cliffs and stuff like that, but it can't detect paths and stuff. So I need to work on that a bit. To show off the lighting a bit more, I have actually added in like a nighttime scene. So I've got it set up here so I could just swap, what is it, this bit, atmosphere index. So I've got here like different textures for the skybox, different colours for the lighting and things like that. Also, I'll add in a point light, which will act as a torch. And we just have to refresh this. And we should be at nighttime. Yes, there we go. So let me just find a little path I can walk down. It's one of my favourite little paths. Don't ask me why, I just like this path. But yeah, here you can actually see the normal mapping working properly. So you can see the shadows look away from you. Below, everything's lit, but over there, shadows are always pointing away from you. So yeah, there's lighting. It's per pixel lighting now rather than per vertex lighting like before. The trees are still per vertex, so even if you're only lighting up the bottom corner, the whole thing will light up, which is a bit weird, but it's faster using per vertex light. Oh, hold on. Yes, as you can see, it's quite a low frame rate now, like 26 frames a second. But you have to keep in mind that I have got a really bad graphics card in here. It's a GT545, which was low end a decade ago, so it's not ideal. But there is actually another thing which has been a feature of my engine for a long time, is this MSAA, which is multi-sampling anti-aliasing, but it also works as just a downscaler as well. So it's basically called, in other games it's generally called render scale, because nobody knew what MSAA meant, so they just started calling it render scale. No, I did not mean to click that. Basically, it just draws it at a lower resolution and scales it up, or it can draw it at a higher resolution and scale it down to get a better picture. But in this case, I'm just scaling it down because it runs a lot faster. And you know, in practice, you're not going to notice. Like, it wouldn't stop you enjoying the game at all. And as you can see, I'm getting 42 frames a second now. Well, around 40 frames a second. And look, it may look like a bit jarring at first, but after you've been playing it for like 5 minutes, you don't notice this sort of stuff. But yeah, it's I don't know, it's also because I'm recording as well, it's quite slow. But yeah, you can scale that up as well. I'm not going to scale it up because I've run it at 4K and it's not pretty on my computer. But yeah, you can change that. It doesn't have to be like halves or anything. It could be like 0.75. I find is a good one for my computer. But it's just because of the per pixel stuff now. This lighting for every texture, I have to do a texture sample on the normal map as well. So it's quite a lot of texture lookups just to get, you know, this working. But I think it's quite a nice effect. Even if you scale it down to like pixel levels, it's still noticeably a decent effect. So I'm quite happy with it. Let me put it back to normal lighting. I could leave the torch on, to be honest. There we go. Yeah, so I've still got the torch on, as you can see there. It's a bit bright. Yeah, so some of the things I want to work on next are mostly... Oh, I've still got it downscaled as well. Anyway, mostly the trees. I want to get the trees... I don't know if I want them procedurally generated, like the whole tree, like build the trunk, build some branches, add some leaves to it. That might be an idea. What I do want to do is get in billboarding. So instead of having this cross-section thing, because this isn't just two quads, it's actually 8 quads. Sorry, 4 quads. So I have one that's facing this way and one facing that way. That was so I can get the lighting working properly. So these actually use twice as much geometry as you might think they would. So if I had them as a billboard, so a billboard is basically just like just one quad that faces the camera constantly. I couldn't work out how to do it mathematically, like given the current projection and the current position of the tree and all that stuff. I couldn't work it out. So I might just do a hacky thing where I literally pass in the direction of the camera on the Z-axis and just use the opposite of that to rotate anything that I want to call a billboard. It's hacky, but I've done that before and it works, so yeah, it'll run. There's no maths to it either, so it might be better in the long run. Yeah. So, and I want to do some more with the buildings as well, which basically means adding in more base geometry to my engine, because I haven't got much there. I haven't got circles, cylinders, cones, any of that stuff. So that would be an idea to get in. Oh yeah, I changed this beach up a bit. I tried to make it look like an estuary, so it's like mostly sand, but it's got these little streams coming from it. And I think it looks quite nice. Makes it a little bit different. So yeah, other than the trees and the buildings, oh yeah, not like generating the trees is one thing. I also want to do a system where I can split it up into chunks. So like how the terrain works in the distance, like, you know, it has that terrain LOD. I want to do something like that for trees. So in the areas that are close to me, I want like higher detailed trees, like actual tree geometry, not these just cross sections. But in the distance, I can go use billboards and stuff. So yeah, I want a system to set that up into chunks and load that instead. And that would also mean I can affect the drawing order of trees, because it's hard to show it off, but there's certain situations where if you're looking at trees at this angle, it's really slow. And if you're looking at trees from this angle, it's fast. That's simply drawing order. So if you're looking this way, those trees over there are drawn first, and these trees here are drawn last. So you're drawing all those trees, even if they're not visible. But this way, these trees are drawn first, so anything behind it is, you know, invisible, so it's not drawn, so it's a lot faster. So drawing order would be good as well. Yeah, so I just want to focus on optimizing those bits at the moment. Maybe some post-processing setup, like even if I don't use it yet. I kind of want to get a depth map out of this, because then I can use the depth to sort of fade in these shorelines. Just so they're not like sudden, I can add a little fade in there, so it's just smooth. Something like that. That would be a simple thing, but I haven't got any of the systems set up for it. But yeah, better trees, better towns, that sort of stuff. And as you can see here, I've got a whole plane that hasn't even been touched yet, so I might do a world building video at some point of just like showing you how I edit the world and drawing in features and all that stuff, and seeing how it goes from being pixels to an actual world. But yeah, that's all I've got for today. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.